Okay, so this is your feedback for Vii pictures. So just looking through this then, we need to get some photos still on our team profiles, but you've got that together, so that's really good. This is interesting as well, you've got like a kind of audio track playing on there as well, so that's nice. Homepage, which you got your GIF at the top. And this is really nice, this is your summer stuff on there, so I really like that, that's really, really good. So what you could do to add to this is you could add the text from your evaluation of your summer work and whack that on the side there. Remember, anything that you've done previously can go on this blog now, this Weebly now, from your summer work and your blogs to help you pick up those grades. So that would be really useful. I think it's probably better to put it on that first page for the evaluation. Okay, so let's have a look through your development section then. Okay, so this is looking nice. You've got your semiotic stuff. Yep, good. Okay, and there's commentary on that. We've got a variety of stuff being used here with emails. Yep, very good. Liking that. Good, good, good. Horror theories are done. I'm just going to skip forward while that's loading. Good. Okay. So what you could do here to improve this to a higher grade is where you've got this here, is you can actually link video sections into this. So you could actually have the trailers playing on here as well. Or what I would do is I'd actually grab the trailers for these and I would put them underneath this post and just categorise them. I think that would work quite nicely. So actually get some embedded video stuff in here. That would show that you put a little bit more thought into this. Okay, this is good. So you've got your postmodernism stuff on here. Yep, very good. Yep, it's nicely presented. Again, you could put the trailers into Prezi as well. That might be quite a nicer way of making it kind of more interactive. Good, you've put the keywords. That's really nice. Well done. There's some real attention to detail there. Good. Yep. Okay. We come down. We've got our history of horror. So the one thing this is missing is some reflections on how this is refining your ideas. So after subgenres of horror, you might want to put a thing on here saying, having looked at this, we have decided that we're quite interested in making a vampire film or a slasher film. Yeah, and that way it relates to the trailers that you're putting in as well quite nicely. When you're talking about horror theories, again, you could put a little thing underneath here just saying which ones you think you may be interested in exploring in your video itself. Okay, good. Okay, just while we're waiting for that to load, I'm just going to open the rest of it in a new page. So we've got film crits next. Oh, here we go, this is open now. Good, this is nice, and you've got your trailers in there and they're playable as well by the looks of it. That's really good. Yep, so we've talked about the history. Yep, good, and we've talked about what makes them iconic as well. Okay, so it looks to me, as we move through, yeah, so what we kind of need to start seeing to maybe emerge now is like I think there's a mix-up between iconic horrors and the history of your particular genre. Where we should be at here is, so which one have you kind of settled on? Which one are you going to make, and what's the history behind that? So if you're going to do a slasher, it's focusing just on the history of that slasher film, what's current, what's going to influence you, that type of stuff. So I think that's something that could be improved upon there, and probably your next step as you're improving these. So if we have a look through the film crits now. So again, the presentation on this is quite flat, it's just text, so you wouldn't really get a great deal for this. It would be pretty pretty low in terms of the presentation marks. You're probably looking at around about a D. So, you know, other things you can do here is put some GIFs in from the films. I'm sure you can find GIFs from Cabin in the Woods. You can put the trailer in. You could actually, here when you're talking about equilibrium, you could take some screen grabs from the trailer. Also on here, we've got the review. we said about having a star rating system. So as you may be able to see in last year's work, we had the same work was presented in a slightly more kind of elaborate way, particularly in that the textual analysis is housed in the Prezi on this one. So again, I think you need to do a bit more with the presentation of it because it's quite flat at the moment in the film crits themselves. It's just kind of basic information typed out. Movie magazines. Okay, so at some point, I know I think you had trouble getting the Prezi on there, so you may want to put a note saying to see the presentation for this section, click on the link below, which wasn't able to be embedded. This is much better. This is far more interactive. This is good. Yeah, I like it. Looks nice. Good. I think we need to be a bit more careful with the layout though, because again we've just sort of put this stuff on here, as opposed to kind of carefully laying it out and thinking about the sizing of it all. Again, you are getting marked on your presentation skills, so that's something you are going to need to kind of consider there. If we go on to what they did for their development work, textual analysis, movie magazines, front covers. Again, you can see that they've introduced it at the top. They've put a thing on here saying why they're doing it. There's a little kind of thing at the top here saying about, you know, they're using ThingLink just like you are, but they're also putting some kind of introductions as to what this shows, what this demonstrates. So what we should be seeing at the moment as we go through here, go back to yours, what we should be seeing here is like what you've learned from this. This is what I was talking about in the lesson. There needs to be like a little comment under each one saying how you're going to take this and move it on, how you're going to develop this a little bit. So for a group of 3, there should be 3 of these on here. That's really important. I think also we should have probably a bit more written about this stuff, like talking about the division of thirds on the magazine, things like this bubble has been talked about, this button, talking about what goes, oh you have talked about that, the fact that the website, the barcode is at the bottom, that kind of stuff. Even these multiple images need discussing, yeah. This one looks like you've commented a little bit more on there. So they're quite different. I mean, you've looked at 2 examples of Scream. You know, maybe we should be looking at Empire or Fangoria, or just kind of widen out your research a little bit. Okay, if we go on to movie posters. Okay, this is much better. So we haven't just got the writing, we've actually got the annotations on there. So this is very strong. This is really good. Well done. Yep. Very nice, and we've looked at lots of different ones here. Good. Okay, so that's happy with that. That's the best post I've seen so far, I think. If we go on to movie trailers. Okay, so again for this one, I'd expect the trailers to actually be embedded as well. And I know you're struggling getting the Prezis embedded, so maybe that could work. But we also need the commentary on what you've learned from these trailers. So why have you looked at these? Why are they influential? How are you going to progress with them? So for what we've got here, we're kind of probably looking at, we at least need to make them hyperlinked as well, so the moderator can click on them, because otherwise they've got to keep copying and pasting and they won't like that. That would be considered not very well presented. In the meantime as well, again, if we look at the examples from last year, when they're doing their textual analysis of trailers, the trailers are embedded in the Prezis, but there's this little thing here that they've also looked at quite a few here as well, I think, yeah. So maybe what I'd say is maybe put a comment on there saying, you know, how effective it was in your view, what you would rather sort of prefer. This is nice though, I like this, the way you've put the text on there. Zoom out for some reason. You've got the trailer in the middle, mise en scène. Again, I think a few more images might be useful to have on there to improve it, so that might be quite nice. But it is presented as a Prezi. Again, the one thing that I don't have information-wise out of this is why is any of this useful, this research that you've done into movie trailers or the film critics? You know, what are you going to do with it? How are you going to take this? You know, what are some of the strengths that you're going to sort of use for your own section? We have a look at the concepts. This is good. Let's have a look at the results. Okay, can't view the results, that's unfortunate. This is nice, so we've got the videos on there, very good, and we've got the ones all done on there. Okay, very nice. So again, what you could put underneath now you've had your feedback, is you can think about the strengths and the weaknesses that you received about these, like why aren't we making it, why are we making that one? Because what we should do is show that we've been through this process to arrive at our treatment, and our treatment is basically what we finally decided to do as our final thing. So again, there needs to be a lot more annotations going on what's happening here with this stuff. Okay, good. Okay, so you're doing suitcase school. Yep. It's going to be difficult to target a 15+ audience if your certificate is an 18, because by very virtue of that, you might want to justify why you're doing that, because they won't get into the cinema and they won't be able to watch it. So again, you want to think about why are you targeting that age group. The other thing is as well, is it males or females? Because we don't know what's going on there within that. Okay. So again, if it's mainly targeting females, then surely this film is targeted towards a female audience. Okay. Yeah. So what's missing from this at the moment is the mood board for it. And we only have 2 characters, so these aren't props character types. Sorry, these are props character types, but there's no justification as to why we're doing it. So the treatment really does need some work. It's a bit lackluster at the minute. Again, if you look at the model of what we're trying to imitate, there's more in this that they're talking about. We've got a tagline for the film. We've got the themes of the film, which haven't been discussed in yours. There's a very specific 3-act structure of what's happening. So I need to know what's happening in the 3 sections of the trailer, because you're sort of drawing this stuff out. So yeah, I think this is a bit underwhelming at the moment. There needs to be more in it, I think. Locations, you haven't talked about locations that you're going to be filming this in. Similar films, there's nothing about similar films. So yeah, I'd say this is kind of incomplete. Again, there's no teaser trailer influences, so that shows that this section here earlier on has actually been purposeful, like the film crits and the trailers. You've actually applied it to yours. So I'd say at the moment this is kind of incomplete. I'd probably be giving this around about a D, sort of D- grade, because it doesn't really show me that you know what you're making for your film. Particularly as your beginning, middle and end is about, I don't know what the trailer looks like, I don't know where it's shot, I'm not sure what the themes of it are going to be. I just think it needs a lot more work to it. So yeah, that's definitely an area for improvement. So overall, I think with the work that you've got in there so far, we're probably looking at about a C grade overall. Clearly quite a bit more work to be done in improving this section, particularly on the treatment. The treatment, as I've said, is quite well, it's incomplete really, and it doesn't give me confidence that you actually know what the film's going to have in it. The trailer, sorry. And there's a few bits of tweaking we need to do in terms of adding comments in certain sections. I'll just quickly skip forward and see where we're at with this section. I'm not marking this just yet, but this is good. We've got some of the questionnaire stuff. We've got our responses, very good, and you've got your conclusions. This is nice. Yeah, so this is well on its way. That's good. Have a look at our mood boards. Yeah, this is much better. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is much better. This is now looking like it's working towards a sort of B grade and above. Yeah, good. You've got your colour schemes. Very nice. Yeah, this is really good. I like that first section. You've done well there. Let's have a look at the camera training, see what we've completed there. Hang on, I'm looking at the wrong one, aren't I? Yeah, so again, if you look at the one that I was looking at Terra House's one, you can see how theirs looks different to this. That's why I was kind of praising it. There's a lot more on there. There's a lot of feedback. There's a conclusion as to what you actually learned from it. So again, this section is very much held back by the fact we're not putting any kind of reflections in, and as I said, that's going to hold you at maximum at C grade. If all you're doing is just the stuff, then, and we don't have any results either. So again, without the results, we don't really have any purpose or any audience research done. So at the moment, got quite a bit more to do on this section. Let's have a look at mood boards. Okay, so we've only got the one at the moment, which doesn't talk about locations. We've got costumes and props. Okay, which is good, and we've got some reflections sort of on there. But again, if we look at the model of what we're aiming for, we've got quite a bit missing there. So we've got a location mood board, and then that, and then we've got the subgenre mood board, and then we've got the colour scheme mood boards, and then we've got the font mood board. So there's quite a bit missing on here. I would not suggest that either section of that first one's been completed. So again, we're sort of probably still working on that kind of D grade area right now in this. Go to the camera training. This is better, so we've got some videos on here. These look like they're nicely shot. Good. This is lovely, look at that, very nice. 1080p I think. Very nice control, that looks really good. You've even put the jump cuts in, lovely. So what's missing on this one though is, and I would say don't re-edit the video, but if you remember what we're supposed to be adding to this is why we would use these shots. So again, on their camera training, the very first thing they've got is a slide saying, it implies someone is nearby. We may use this shot in our horror trailer to portray the presence of the antagonist. So that's an area that you need to improve upon, is actually maybe write out the shots underneath now and put that commentary underneath of why you would use each of these. But these are really nice and they're shot very nicely, and you can tell you've really used the control over the exposure and that as well. I presume you've colour graded them a little bit as well. Yeah, there's some effects that you've whacked over it. Very good. Let's have a quick look at this one. Okay, good. So again, what you might want to think about here is you've talked about what the shot is and it's what it's used, but where would you use it in your trailer? Yeah, you could add that. Again, rather than re-editing it, just add them underneath under particular examples. Okay, good. Be careful of having the stuff in the shot, but that's good. Yeah, very nice. Okay, so we're about 50% of the way through this one. Yeah. I think you're going to struggle moving forward with this until you've got your treatment done in a lot more detail, because again, unless you know where you're filming it, who your characters are, what's going to happen in the trailer, and how you're going to fill up the 1 minute 35 shots, it's going to be difficult to build off that. Let's have a look at the cover drafts. Okay, so again, at the minute we've only got one draft. The problem with that is now we should have at least 3. And we should be working on these and with reflections. So again, if we look at what they've done, this is our model, and when we're supposed to be sort of aiming, building our stuff on. So we've got the 2 drafts there, we've got the 2 drafts there. We also should have poster drafts. So if you look under drafting here, yeah, so influences at the top, 6 of them, with a little writing about each of them. So that's where the 4 hours went, you can see. And then we've got their versions there. And then we've got their digital versions and edits. So this is where we should be at by Friday. So we've got quite a long way off that at the moment, plus some stuff still to do on the development section. Let's have a look at the poster drafts. This is good, yep, that's nice. So we've got that stuff on there. Good. Yep, okay, that's better. So the posters look like they're coming along a bit more. Okay, so what we probably need is, we talked about the grudge influence. Most of these tend to fit. Oh, I see. So you've definitely gone with the grudge influence there, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I see that. Okay, what you might want to think about doing is doing like a photo version of this as well, which we discussed earlier on. So it isn't just drawn. I think that is quite effective, but just to show that you're following the conventions here, you might want to think about how that works as well, just as an image. Good, okay, so again, to summarise, treatment needs work, presentation of the crits, lots of commentary, like this stuff is what I'm looking for and what the examiners are looking for to get into the high C, the B and the A section, not just having the work done. Still a lot of work to do on this audience research. We haven't got any results in, let alone gone through and analysed them and written about how we're going to apply them and that takes a long time. If we look at the audience research here, look, so there's the results, there's what they did, which is what you've got, there's the results, but then we've got all this still needs to be done yet. Okay, that's a lot of work there, and the mood boards aren't finished as well. So camera training, your job now is obviously moving on to the storyboard and the timeline, but you may have to go back to your treatment to actually get that structured. Okay, thanks very much.